China and Brazil strike deal to ditch the U.S. dollar. This is a zero hedge story. And, they have reached a deal to trade in their own currencies, bypassing the U.S. dollar. This deal will allow the two countries to conduct their massive trade, which amounts to $150 billion per year, and financial transactions directly exchanging yuan for riases, vice versa. This deal is part of Beijing's latest move against the U.S. dollar, extending its bilateral U.S. dollar attempting currency arrangement beyond countries such as Russia, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, to now include Latin American exporting powerhouse. While we are still strong, long away from the yuan replacing the U.S. dollar as a global reserve currency, the current U.S. ruling regime is destroying the world's faith and confidence, not only in the dollar, but in what was once a superpower and is increasingly a third world banana republic.
I think the dollar, it's gonna hit a flat line because Germany, South Korea, and Japan are not going to drop the dollar as the world reserve currency, and especially Germany and Japan. They produce a lot of value and a lot of wealth, and so the euro backstopping the world reserve currency, meaning the dollar being the backstop of the euro, is actually in our benefit. But India is going to be the big question, right? If India falls, that's a growing market.
Yep.
Brazil is a totally corrupt country. They're a broken country. The bulls on Brazil have been wrong the last 20 years. It's like $1 trillion GDP. They're mainly a natural resource hub, and they have a real hard time with their own homegrown industry. And there was like 1.6 trillion. I was about right. It's actually flatlined and gone down in recent years. So the bulls on Brazil have been wrong. And with Lula now becoming president, they're going to become a wholly owned colony of the Chinese Communist Party. Basically, that's what Brazil...
Catastrophic for the nation,
it's
by
terrible.
the way. Yeah.
The future of Brazil is put in permanent jeopardy because of Bolsonaro not staying as president, prime minister. So we need a new president, because I don't think Joe Biden seems awfully worried that the dollar is no longer becoming the world reserve currency. You can say that it wasn't a good idea for us to become the world reserve currency. However, it's a fact that if we stop being the world reserve currency, every single person in America gets significantly poor overnight. The fact that people have to turn their goods and services into dollars is kind of a stimulus boost just baked into our economy. We're a place of last resort, a refuge, if you will. It's a built-in advantage that we don't even recognize or realize till we travel the world. But I think we have more staying power than people realize. There's a lot of entrepreneurs. We create a lot of value in this country as some very valuable companies. Despite the fact that we're service-based, we still have a lot of natural resources. We have a manufacturing beast that can still be unleashed if necessary. So we have a lot of advantages. With that being said, though, this current administration seems unbothered by any of this. And, I mean, what we need is a new regime. Hopefully it's President Trump, and we go directly after the CCP. But a lot of this is centered on a border dispute on eastern Ukraine. All of this is, if that was not happening the way it was happening, a lot of these chips would not be falling into place, in my opinion. That is the beginning domino, because then Russia said, okay, screw you, we're going to grow closer to China. We're no longer, for the first time ever, Russia has just dropped basically all their dollars out of the central bank because we made them when we put sanctions on them. By the way, what does that say for world reserve currency status? This is why our leaders are so stupid. We basically confiscated the dollars out of the Russian central bank. That's not exactly safe and secure. Basically, countries are saying, wait a second, you can just confiscate our dollars? Like, we went after them and just grabbed the dollars and said, yep, they're no longer valid, converted into rubles. And Russia said, okay, well, that's an act of war, which it is. And so I think a lot of this is centered on this eastern, border dispute. We could talk about that if you'd like. I think it's incredibly important. I don't think people have really thought through the ramifications of our involvement in Ukraine. It's bad all across the board, but make no mistake, with the proper president, the right president, we can crack that alliance in 9 months. These countries, China has a lot of domestic problems.
What would Trump do? You're saying that. So Trump gets, let's just say it's 2024. Okay. He wins. What's he doing?
Well, first, he could go back to what we already had, which is you have a peace immediately brokered in eastern Ukraine. Immediately. You go in there and you end this stupid war. You end this proxy war. You then try to create intentional separation between Russia and China and keep them in their own corners. You go to the Saudis and you say, knock it off. You're going to keep on using the dollar for the petrodollar. You save OPEC, which will increase the dollar's strength as a world reserve currency. And then you have to go after the CCP in like a 15-point targeted plan. You pull their visas from being able to go to Europe. You put targeted sanctions on them. There's again, I'm not exactly saying anything that hasn't been thought through really serious scholars, but we have to have a serious plan to punish the CCP for what they did with the virus, covering it up and lying about it, and then also their hyper-aggressive action with Belt and Road, cyber warfare, infiltrating the American economy. Some of that comes with a price and a cost, but then more than anything else, Trump, if he becomes president again, will be energy independent again. There'll be economic confidence restored. I think that we'll see inflation put under control because we'll actually have a rebirth of market stability. Right now, people are confused. They're uncertain. They're afraid of their own shadow. Everyone's looking at what the central bank is doing. Entrepreneurs can't operate in an environment like this. And that's why you're seeing business startups go down. You're seeing acquisitions slow down. Whether we're in a recession or not, I think we are in a recession. It really is an indictment of the lack of confidence coming from the current regime. We don't know if a big tax bill is going to be passed. We don't know if the regulators are going to be thrown at us. We need President Trump to do what he did for 4 years, which is to unshackle the American economy.